Hi, I'm Faith McCann, and I'm the host of The Magical Alternative. I'm a teacher of the magical arts, a historian, a writer, an artist, and a witch. I grew up in the country learning the wisdom from the earth. I have practiced the arts and sciences of magic and witchcraft for over 40 years. I've taught at local universities, community colleges, and I've lectured at educational forums for over 25 years. But the Magical Alternative is not simply a show about magic. We here at the Magical Alternative want to offer you a different kind of show, a show without darkness, diversity, or scandal. We want to offer you a show that has educational information, informative information, ideas, different concepts, beliefs, and traditions that you might find interesting, and things that we feel make the world a more beautiful place. I hope you enjoy the Magical Alternative. Hello, welcome to the Magical Alternative, and let's get started. And today I wanted to show you, we just celebrated our 20th anniversary, which is actually tonight. We just had a wonderful May Day or Beltane celebration, and this is our, well, rather than a maypole, we use a tree. And we put the red and white ribbons around it, and we had the celebration this past weekend. And I wanted to show you, I don't know if you can zoom in to the photograph, okay. And that is going to stay out there for the year, well, at least for the summertime, the ribbons, to just let people know as they drive by that we're celebrating the spring and the summer. So.
20 years.
20 years,
Yeah,
I
that's
know,
awesome.
and you've been with me almost the whole time.
I know.
Why?
I know. I don't know.
You're awesome.
My husband asked me, how long are those 20? I'm like, yeah, 18.
18 out of 20 years. So, well, we're going to talk about something tonight. And it's not as happy as some stories we've talked about, but it is very serious. The witch hunts have indeed begun again.
Oh, no.
I know. Not at the national level. And that's important to just make notice of without getting into much detail. Most people are aware of things being said on the national level, but it's important to know historically, kings were never victims of the witch hunts. Sorry. They would often use them as an excuse to get rid of an unwanted queen or two or six or more, but
Couple mistresses.
yeah, but never the king. Yeah, a couple mistresses, but never the king. Unfortunately, though, today there was a story that was recently published, and in Winchester, Kentucky, a cute little metaphysical shop called the Crystal Coven Mystic Cottage.
I love it.
I love that name.
Love that name.
What a cute name. In Clark County, just celebrated its first year. Yay!
Yay!
The Babayagas, pestles up.
Pestles up. Whoop, whoop.
Well, unfortunately, trouble is brewing in the cauldron in Winchester, Kentucky. Did I say Kentucky before?
You did,
It
yes.
did.
Yep.
Well, some politician, who shall remain nameless, made a complaint that the owner, a Shannon Tipton, was a witch and she was practicing witchcraft. Eep. Well, really, there's nothing wrong with that. But it all started when a local tourism board posted a photo of her aura photography course or class. She was having an event at her store. And they posted it, and now there's this ambiguous entity called they, that are now saying that she's a Satanist. Her store is devil worshiping,
Evil.
evil. She's
evil?
not. Then they went into to say
I'm not evil.
You're not evil.
My husband may think I am, but I'm not evil.
You're not
No,
evil.
No.
No, and none of us are really.
No.
They say she's a church, and then she came out and said, "No, I'm not a religion. I'm just a metaphysical store. I sell herbs, I sell crystals, I sell, herbs, oils, things like that."
Oh, you mean kind of like enchantments?
Like enchantments, yes. And it's important to make the distinction first off. One faction is saying she's doing witchcraft. Another one's saying, well, she's a religion, and their tourism board shouldn't promote any religion. She's not doing either. And one, witchcraft is not religion. Witchcraft is a science.
But even so, your First Amendment right says you can practice whatever religion you want.
Well, if she were to say, yes, I'm actually practicing Wicca, I'm a witch, I'm practicing the religion of witches, she would be protected under the First Amendment, which is very important. But
she's not saying that.
She's not saying that. And it is important. I'm a big fan of our Constitution and all 27 amendments. And it is important to understand that our First Amendment, which is first for a reason, has 5 parts, and one of them is freedom of religion. I know a lot of people, you yourself is a big Second Amendment. A lot of people are big on the Second Amendment. A lot of people don't realize, though, the Second Amendment, what do you think of when you think of the Second Amendment?
The right to bear arms.
Ah, yes, that is correct. But Miss Laurel, did you know that that was not what the Second Amendment was when it was written?
What?
It was not. No, actually, no. The Second Amendment, when it was written, only stated one thing: to have a well-regulated militia. That's it. Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine. Well-regulated militia. Do you know when the Heller decision that actually gave the individual citizen of this country the right to bear arms was actually decided upon by our United States Supreme Court? Do you know what year? Take a guess. Pick a year.
I am going to say 1823.
2008.
Okay.
2008. But the First Amendment comes first, as far as I'm concerned, because it's first. And the right to any kind of religion you want to is very important. And that is key with this story. So this lady is running her business the way she wants to. She's not saying she's a religion. She's not saying she's a witch. She's not saying she's doing anything kind of creepy or weird. She's just selling herbs and crystals and fun things, oils, essential oils, things like that. But unfortunately, she's being targeted. Why? Why are people afraid to go into her shop? Why are people targeting her?
Well, people are afraid to go to her shop because they're afraid they're going to get targeted too.
Exactly. Well, we do have something here in New England that they might not have in Kentucky. I call it, personally, I've named it this. It's called the Tituba effect. Tituba was a slave woman from Salem in 1692. Now, a lot of people, unfortunately, think that Salem is the first place of witchcraft in New England, but actually that was Hartford, Connecticut, where the first woman was put to death for witchcraft in 1647, Alice Young. But Salem was known in 1692 for the witch panics that happened at that time, and Tituba being the first person accused. She was a slave from the West Indies. She was black. She was accused, and she did something that nobody else did at the time. She was the first person accused in this country that came out and said, yeah, I'm a witch. What are you going to do about it? And they were like, oh, geez, wait a minute. Where's
the book?
Where's the book? Where's the book? So they're looking through everything. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. No.
What do we do if they say they are?
We don't know.
God.
So what they did is they threw her in the dungeon, forgot about her, arrested, executed a bunch of other people, and she was finally released, lived to what they said was a long, probably a miserable life because she was a slave, and was never executed on the charge of witchcraft. So actually, here in New England, we just come out and say, yeah, that's what we are. because we are protected. We have rights in this country. Let's go back to Kentucky that have the exact same rights as we do. They say their tourism's focus should be on tourism. But they also say they believe tourism, I'll read this here, needs to be neutral on divisive issues and cultural agendas. Tourism needs to be neutral on divisive issues and cultural agendas. Think of some of our tourist destinations. I have been to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall. My husband's a Vietnam veteran, disabled in the war. It's not a fun place to go to. It's very divisive, but it's important.
What about the Holocaust?
The Holocaust Museum also, very important. We have 9/11, the location in New York City, also very divisive, but very important.
Salem, Mass.
Let's talk about Salem, Mass. Thank you, Miss Laurel. Salem, Massachusetts. Bringing in this tourism that Kentucky or this particular town in Kentucky really doesn't want this woman shot because they feel like it's harmful to their tourism, if I got the story correct. Well, at Salem, Mass, last year I saw something that I've never seen before on our local and our national news. I saw shopkeepers, restaurants, hotels get on the news and say last year, right before Halloween, please don't come here. Stay away, which shocked me. But then I looked at the statistics and it made perfect sense. Let me show you a picture. You guys recognized it right away. And as I'm showing you this picture, let me tell you some statistics. Salem, Mass's year-round residential population is 45,000 people. 45,000, that's it. That's all who lives there.
Salem is not a big place.
It's not a big place. It has an actual 18.1 square miles of area. Of that 18.1 square miles of area, 8.1 square miles is actual land, 9.9 square miles is water, and the rest, a little over 10 square miles, is buildings. So of that 8.1 square miles of land, think about that, it's kind of small. Last year, 2023, in the 5 weeks preceding Halloween, they had 1.2 million people descend upon the village of Salem. Those were the words used by the people that live there and that work there. They were like, please come any other time. We have more than enough people, more than enough money. We can't take any more. Go away. Have you seen anyone anywhere in this country say such a thing? Las Vegas has never said that. Times Square on New Year's Eve has never said that. Go away. We have too many people. Well, maybe during COVID, but any other time, I have never seen any other location.
It's just insane.
Have you heard of anywhere else in this country
maybe
that has
Mardi Gras?
Mardi Gras? No, are you kidding? Mardi Gras can't get enough people. They love you. Come on. And you guys said it was like a great big party. I was shocked when I saw that. I mean, that they were just overwhelmed. But that is such a small area. So did you feel that way when you were there?
Yeah, you wanted.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
Well, yeah,
This was the
October.
5 weeks up to October.
I mean, during the summer, it's busy, but it's not, it's normal tourism.
Yeah.
But October, you can't even walk in the streets, and I kind of feel it's a little bit sad that they go there and they dress as witches and they kind of make it a big party when it was a sad thing that happened. So
Exactly.
Thank you.
yeah. But yeah, it's fun to play music to all those people. Absolutely.
Oh,
but-
absolutely. Oh, my goodness. I mean, you couldn't have a bigger crowd. I mean, an audience, that is outrageous. That's awesome. I think that's really exciting. But you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you said that because I hadn't thought to mention that this time. I've talked to my students about that. But yeah, the whole concept of Salem, and me and Miss Laurel were talking earlier today how there are a number of people that will say, I'm descendant of someone that got put to death in Salem. They weren't witches.
They weren't.
That's not really something, okay, it's great if you have that in your family genealogy, but that one does not make you a witch. That doesn't give you some kind of fabulous powers or something. So I don't know where people are going with that.
And then you get into, you must be descended by a witch to be a witch here.
Oh, that's not nonsense.
You know,
not everybody in Salem is like that, but there are some.
But there are.
We have been told personally, if you're not a witch in Salem, you're not a real witch, but they don't realize that the first people put to death were in actually Hartford, so.
And they weren't witches either.
They weren't witches either. So what we'd like to say to the Tourism Board of Winchester, Kentucky. Unless you are run by the churches, a shop like the Crystal Coven Mystic Cottage can only bring good, solid financial prosperity to your community. And for the people who object to this, they also say they believe that the tourism department should not promote any business that sells witchcraft material. I don't know if you've read the book, The Secret. That was really popular over the last 20 years. Every single thing in the book, The Secret, is witchcraft. They don't use the word magic or witchcraft because they want to sanitize it, and people bought it hook, line, and sinker. But if you buy roses at your local home goods stores, if you buy cinnamon at your local food market, if you purchase cloth, needles, ribbon, thread, buttons, they're all used in magical practice.
Pick up seashells.
I could walk into your home.
Blow out a birthday candle.
I could walk into your home, and within 10 minutes, I could turn your kitchen into a witch's parlor just with what you have in your home today. So it's kind of mean to target people if you don't know anything about them. Learn more about them. Go into her store and find out who she is and what she's all about before you target somebody and call them evil. Because I truly believe there are evil people in the world, and they're not necessarily pagans or witches. So,
no.
Anyway, that's what we have to talk about today. And my guests tonight are, I have an interview with Mr. Philip Heselton from the Western UK. All right. And we're here tonight with my guest, British writer, author, Philip Heselton. And welcome, Philip. I'm glad you could make it and be with us tonight.
It's nice to be here, I think, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've heard so much about you from my friends, Janet and Gavin. So from what I've read and what I've heard about, you are an amazing author. About 18 books you've had published so far.
It's certainly not that many.
Well, I did a bit of a search or two over the last few weeks. I think I even have some of your books on my bookshelf at home. I have so many bookshelves. And from what I could look up, yeah, I came up with about 18. But, I think some of them might have been reprinted. So maybe that's where they came from.
Or whatever, yes. I don't know. And I suppose it's a little bit arrogant to say I don't know how many books I've written, but
that's wonderful. I think that shows the mark of a true author, somebody who writes for the purpose of getting the information out there rather than just keeping track.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's a big difference nowadays.
The money.
Yeah, I've heard from some of the best authors in our genre that they're not writing it for the money, unfortunately. That's not a lot of it in the business. But now I was told that, and I'm told not only have you written a lot about Gerald Gardner, Gardnerian Wicca, I found, I loved one of the titles that one of your books, Gerald Gardner and the Cauldron of Inspiration, an investigation into the sources of Gardnerian witchcraft. I think that's fascinating. Huh?
It's about the same time as Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Didn't sell quite as many copies, but
yeah. Shame.
Yeah, there were two books, Wiccan Roots, and then
Yes.
this one with the long title. They were really, I'd written a book and it was too long. And rather than cut down individual bits of it, I thought, right, we'll chop it off and make it into two books. And that's what we did. So it's a bit chronological. So in other words, Wiccan Roots is the earlier bit about how Gerald met the witches and the rest of it. And Gerald Gardner and the what's it called, Cauldron of Inspiration, is more about his subsequent things where he was writing books himself and opening the Museum of Witchcraft on the Isle of Man. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that was that. Yes.
Had you ever met him? I mean, you were only 18 when he passed.
No, I could have done, couldn't I? We got a copy of Gerald Gardner's Witchcraft Today from the local library. Now, I don't know what it's like in your part of the world, but certainly in England these days, libraries are closing. People aren't using them as much, possibly because of the internet, possibly because people can afford to buy books,
True.
which I did. Anyway, we borrowed. There was a lot of subjects that I became interested in for the first time because there were books about them in that local library. I don't know if that librarian was particularly interested in all these sort of things, but anyway, yes, they borrowed Witchcraft Today by Gerald Gardner. Now, and I read it, and it spoke to me in a very strange sort of way,
Mm.
reading between the lines, and I felt, yeah, what I could have done, well, never occurred to me, is to write to Gerald Gardner, care of the publisher,
Ah,
because it was about 1959, 1960 that we got that book out of the library,
yeah.
and Gerald didn't die until 1964.
Mm.
I could have written to him and he could have said, come and see me,
Yeah.
and gone to see him, but it never occurred to me. So
Yeah.
never met him.
Oh, that's a shame. That's a shame. But you'd met some of his priestesses.
Oh yes, I've met quite a few people who knew him, and that was very interesting. He lived down in Hampshire near the New Forest in southern England. This was where he met the witches, and there are people there that I met who knew him, and we interviewed them, and some of them have passed on now, so it was
Yes.
quite good that we're able to do that. I only
Yeah.
become interested in all this thing longer ago, but no.
Oh, that's fascinating. From witch cult to Wicca.
Yes, this one is subtitled "From Witch Cult to Wicca."
Ah, okay.
Now,
Thank you.
when he first met the witch cult, this was probably based on Margaret Murray's book,
Mm.
The Witch in Western Europe.
Yes.
I don't really know. It might be Alex Sanders. It might be somebody else. It certainly wasn't Gerald. He never called it that.
He never called it a cult.
He never called it Wicca.
Oh, he never called it Wicca. You had cut out there, and I wanted to make sure I heard you properly. Gerald Gardner never used the term Wicca,
Not to mean the religion.
not to mean the religion. Okay. Oh, are you still with us? Oh, okay. Let me see what happened here. Ah, Let me see. Oh, yeah, yeah. Are you still there, Philip?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to see if I can get you to come back up. Hold on a minute.
Okay.
Okay, escape to exit full screen. I'm gonna try to get you back up. We see what happens when you get two witches, you know? So, and you yourself, you practice or no?
I've completely forgotten what.
Well, we were talking about how
what,
you said
what
Gerald Gardner. I think Gerald Gardner's maybe with us right now. My goodness, there could be a really bad connection from your end, Philip.
yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then turn it back on again because we'll just edit this out. That's not a problem. And Gerald Gardner, if you are interfering, please give us a break because we're having a great conversation here. Back to when you were working or meeting with the priestesses, so you learned a lot of the inside information about Gerald Gardner. And so, where did the concept of Wicca come from that you understood it? He came up with the name.
Well, I don't know, to be honest. It certainly wasn't when I first read about the witchcraft in the early 1960s. It
Okay.
wasn't known as Wicca at all. It was just called witchcraft, really.
Mm.
So I don't know. To be honest, that period of history is too recent for me. I'm interested in Gardner and the people that he met, the people who initiated him into what they call the witch cult. And I'm interested in those people. I've found out quite a bit about them. And, you know, there's more to be discovered. There's Hold on, I
Yes.
know you can't hear
Yes,
me round, but
that's okay.
that is the most recent book I've got.
I saw, yes, Search
Uh,
of the New Forest Coven.
it's a nice cover, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Really the nicest cover, and it feels nice as well.
And did that just come out? Is
It
that available?
oh yes, it's available.
Oh, good.
Uh, it came out in 2020, just
Oh,
about
wonderful.
the pandemic.
Okay, perfect.
So we you see, I always like a book launch, you know, an event
Yes.
where say nice things about me and things like that. They
Yes.
that at the time, so we didn't get that publicity, but it's um, it's a good book. It goes a little bit more detail into some of the people who were in the group that Gerald was initiated into, and
So did the New Forest Coven exist before Gerald?
oh yes, definitely. Hmm. And I know the names of a few of the people involved, or
Okay.
quite a few people involved, you know, and I found out quite a lot about them.
Was it true that there's a lot of talk that I've read about that they were a theater group and, but a coven, but was that true?
Some of them were members of this Rosicrucian theatre, um, the Crotona Fellowship,
Mm,
which is based on Rosicrucian principles. Don't ask me to explain about Rosicrucianism because
mm.
it's sort of rather it you can't quite get hold of it, but it's all interested in the sort of things that we are interested in, shall we say?
Yeah.
And there were several people who became involved with it, but they had other interests, shall we say.
Mm.
Gerald retired. He worked out in Malaya and Ceylon and Borneo, and retired at the age of 52.
Oh my, yes.
Was I retired at the age of 52 as well to do
Wow.
research at Gerald Gardner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He retired down to back to England. His wife wanted to come back. She wasn't really happy, I don't think, out in the tropics.
Yeah.
And I think he would have been quite happy too. But anyway, they retired to England, to London.
Mm.
It was just before the start of the Second World War, and there was, people thought it likely that the war would come and that London would be bombed.
Oh.
So they moved down to Highcliffe, which is near the New Forest. Now, Gerald says it's the only place where he knew people. Who the people were that he knew, I don't know. But anyway, they moved down.
Mm.
He used his bicycle and cycled round the New Forest area,
Mm.
and says he found this theatre which had a foundation stone which said this was the first Rosicrucian theatre in England.
Oh.
He went along to some performances and got to know some of the people involved. Now, the chap in charge, Sullivan, he was a bit of a charlatan, I think, really.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Gerald wasn't very impressed with him. But this group of people, including a lady who he knew as Dafoe and family, the Mason family, he got to know them very well and he was impressed with them.
Mm.
But eventually they said, one of the things that they talked about quite a lot was reincarnation. This was very important to them.
Yes.
And Gerald had memories of previous lifetimes.
Yes.
And anyway, there was a time when they said, look, I think anyway, that we've had memories of previous lifetimes as witches. And Gerald had memory of previous lifetimes as a witch.
Mm.
We believe that we've been witches in a previous lifetime. We can be witches again. That is the moment when it started, sometime in the 1930s.
Mm.
Gerald joined them shortly afterwards, I think, and he was initiated into their group. He may have been the first person ever to be initiated into their group.
Really?
I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know about it.
But they all felt that they had past lives as witches.
Yes.
That's
yes.
fascinating. Now we'll go into Ask the Babayagas. Yeah. All right. We got a question. Oh, actually, a very nice email from Felix. He wanted to ask the Babayagas, really loves the show, really excited about everything, and he wanted to ask the Babayagas these questions. So we're going to go down the list. There are 4 specific questions, and we're going to discuss them a little bit. The first one, and thank you, Felix.
Yes.
How to find other like-minded witches. This has been a question we've been asked many times over the
Many
years.
times.
Sadly, over the years, things have changed. We don't have as many open groups out there as we used to. It's been harder to put people in contact. But then as I was kind of responding to Felix, it occurred to me there's a very easy way to contact other like-minded people today. And that's actually on social media. If you want to keep safe, I was actually online when I got his question, and I started thinking about it because I had been on my social media putting the show on there and responding to some of you. And I looked at some of the social media out there. You're probably familiar with like the little neighborhood watches.
Right.
And, if you grew up in this town, or if you have a graduation class and the
Right.
reunion, anyone can make these little groups on your social media, where you can even make it a private group and have people answer a question. There's so many of them out there. So you can actually start your own little group. It could be private, it could be public.
And there are so many groups already out there
Yeah.
on witches and witchcraft. Be careful. Some of them,
Well, I wouldn't tell anyone where I lived. I wouldn't meet anybody at my home. But,
no.
once you get to know each other online
Right.
and talk a little bit, maybe get a bunch of people locally, then meet in a coffee shop, meet in
Right.
a local park.
Right.
Was it you that said maybe not in a park?
Yeah,
Because you live in a remote area, but where I live, there's 5,000 people every moment in the park. It's a
Yeah.
safe place to meet. So, or go someplace where there's a lot of people, where it's safe, meet up, get to meet other people.
Right, and if you're a group, it's different. So.
And you can set your own group rules. Maybe
Yeah.
you're interested in Norse magic. Maybe you're interested in Egyptian magic, Italian magic. You can basically say, this is the type of group we're getting together. I mean, I've seen groups online that just want to collect Fiesta wear. Whatever your thing is, you can
Exactly.
you can interest
Right.
other people. It is easier now, young ones, than it ever was. We
Yes.
used to have to do crazy things to meet people, go to sweat lodges, and
Yeah.
crazy stuff. So
Find the group of hippies.
yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
but be safe. Whatever you do, be
Yes.
safe. The next question. Oh, this is interesting.
What about Alexandrian tradition and nudity?
Hey.
No nudity.
Yes, the Babayagas give you
No,
a down.
no,
a
no,
down pedestal.
no.
Well, actually, when it comes to that, and we always get somebody that'll ask about nudity.
Always.
But that's okay.
It was really big in the UK,
In the UK, well, it might still be. You have Gardnerian. He does ask about Alexandrian, but originally it was Gardnerian and Arabian, which was an Italian
Right.
magic. But now it's like into the Alexandrian, other ones, and not so much in the United States. Don't ask me why. I don't know. We're more dressing up in robes or cool outfits and stuff. You don't see a lot of groups, getting naked. We do have nudist colonies here, but you don't see the crossover. I've never known nudist colonies to be pagan per se. It just, yeah. But the thing is, you can do magic fully dressed. If you want to do something naked, do it in your own home. Being safe is really key. I wouldn't get together with a bunch of strangers that wanted me to get naked for anything. Why? It's just
No.
Okay, it's freaky. Okay, no. If you want to do something in your own house, do what your own thing is. But no, it's not necessary. Anybody that tells you you have to join and do anything that you are uncomfortable with, get out.
Get out.
Leave.
Look, there are
Run.
other groups
Run away.
that will make you feel comfortable.
Yeah, run away. Don't do anything that you're not comfortable with. It is
No.
not a rule. There is only one rule,
And not harm none.
and it harm none. Do what you will. Anyone that says you must do this, no. Call me up and I'll talk to them for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Really good question he asked about
Yes.
secular witchcraft. Can there be a thing? Well, actually, Felix, that's an excellent question because witchcraft is secular, which means no religion. Witchcraft is a science. It's just like any other science. I equate witchcraft a lot of times with
Like chemistry.
Yeah, with food. Well, because I was a professional culinary arts trained chef a million years ago, and I equate witchcraft with food. Everyone eats. Anyone that's interested can learn how to do it, and you do not have to wrap religion in with it.
No.
It's a science. It's the oldest science known to mankind. Wicca is the religion, witchcraft is the science. Now you can, as his next question is, Christian witches. Well, sure. I mean, if you go into a Catholic church and they're burning candles, at one time in ancient history that had a magical connotation to it. When it comes to Christian witches, I can't really even comment on that. I've heard of groups, Jews for Jesus. I don't know. I can't comment on that. I know people, I've heard of people that weird things like
Well, back
steak sauce on vanilla ice cream.
back in the day, the Christians would burn witches for witchcraft, but make a witch bottle to keep the witches away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you want to do, I'll
Yeah.
tell you at the bottom line, when it comes to Christian witches, I don't think it's a thing. But if you want to be Christian and also do witchcraft, that's fine. If you want to be Christian and be Wiccan, okay, I don't know what that looks like, but that's okay. You can do what you want to do, but at the end of the day, again, I'm going to use the comparison to food. What you put on your plate is what you eat. That's your food. Don't worry about what's on anybody else's plate. So if that's what you're going to put on your plate at the buffet and you're going to eat that food, that's cool. But what everybody else puts on their plate, hands off. It doesn't matter to you. It shouldn't matter to you.
Exactly.
Why does it care? You're not going to eat it. So
Right.
let them put on vanilla ice cream and cover it with something weird. And I only say that because it's like, I know somebody like, I don't know, my husband loves to go to buffets and he puts some weird combinations. Now, he doesn't do the ice cream thing, but he does put some weird things on his plate that it's like, seriously?
Yeah, I had a friend that would
let
go
him
to
do
a
it.
restaurant and eat her dessert first.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever makes
But
you
it doesn't
happy.
make a difference
It
because you don't
doesn't.
have to do that.
No.
You can do
No.
whatever you want. Yeah.
Exactly.
But when you step over the line and say, no, I have to do it this way and you have to do it too, well then,
Yeah.
it's not cool.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah. And he didn't ask.
No.
But he kind of put it into the question in a roundabout way. Because it seems like you've been practicing witchcraft for a long time. Yes, Felix, over 40 years. So now that you've asked.
yes.
So if you have any questions for the Babayagas, you can send them to magicalalt1818@gmail.com. Please be kind, and thank you so much for the questions. That was
Yeah,
really,
we enjoy
really
them. We
fun.
enjoy them. So
Yes.
yes, keep them coming.
And now I'd like to introduce you to my musical act, the band for the Magical Alternative November Sound. Melissa and Bill, all right.
Tells me of his clairvoyant dreams. I ask why. Feeds my mind with fantasy and history, a universe of his design. Leaves the ground with every thought, the wheels they turn and grind for naught. I ask why. He says, okay, baby, I'm a cell phone guy. You sigh the chords that burn. You sigh, oh love of mine. I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. Tells me that the world isn't what it seems. I ask why. Talks of the conspiracy, the mystery, the heavens they move by. design. Outer space with every thought, the wheels they turn and grind for naught. I ask why. He says, okay baby, I'm a cell phone guy. You say the chords are fun. You say, oh love of mine, I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. I'll keep you here beside my bed. No need to wonder what he said. Blue light, turmoil, darkness, strife. A lit up screen will be my life. Woo! All right, give me a little solo bell. You say the chords are fun. You say a love of mine. I can hear you. I can hear you. You say the chords are fun. You say a love of mine. I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. I took my troubles down to Madame Ruth. You know that gypsy with a gold cap tooth. She's got a pad down on 34th and Vine, selling little bottles of love potion number 9. I told her that I was a flop with chicks. I've been this way since 1956. She looked at my palm and she made a magic sign. She said, what you need is love potion number 9. She bent down and turned around and gave me a wink. She said, I'm gonna make it up right here in the sink. It smelled like turpentine and looked like Indian ink. I held my nose, I closed my eyes, I took a drink. I didn't know if it was day or night. I started kissing everything inside. But when I kissed the cop down on 34th and Vine, he broke my little bottle of love potion number 9. All right, give me a solo. Kissed the cop down on 34th and Vine. He broke my little bottle of number 9. Love potion number 9. Love potion number 9. Love potion number 9. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And that was November Sound. That was awesome. Thank you guys. Always such great music. Very cool. Thank you so much. And we're going to conclude tonight's show with a discussion about Litha, or the summer solstice, which happens this month on the 20th of the month. And the summer solstice.
Yes.
Litha. Tell me about Litha, Miss Laurel.
It's the summer solstice. It's our midwinter. See, look at me.
Midwinter? In Australia, it is
Australia,
midwinter.
but
Yes.
midsummer celebration. We like to go and do wand walks on the summer
Wand
solstice.
walks.
Also, that's when you can harvest your first magical plants, right?
Magical plants.
plants. You can harvest your first magical plants on Litha.
Litha. Also, it's the longest day, shortest night.
Yep.
And the rest of the world, if you don't follow the pagan wheel of the year, they consider it the first day of summer, which is so weird to me.
It is.
Nobody read Shakespeare, apparently. It's midsummer.
Midsummer.
It's always been midsummer.
midsummer.
And in Europe, it is midsummer. But here, we consider it the first of summer, which is weird to me.
It is weird.
But it is a little sad when we get to midsummer.
Because
But we just started. Today, for us, is May 1st. We're taping this.
Yes.
It's actually the first day of summer for us.
Yes.
And it goes until November 1st. I saw the woodchucks. They're out in my backyard. They've been out for about 3 weeks, so we definitely have an early spring summer.
Yeah,
so it was very nice.
the moles are eating my tulips.
Well, you don't have any possums. Possums will eat them. Got to get some possums.
I know.
And go out and catch some and bring them to your yard.
Right?
Do a spell to bring possums into your yard.
Yeah.
So, well,
Get the
anyway,
moles.
if you want to celebrate Litha or the summer solstice, you can have a picnic. You can go out and plant a tree. Do something to help the environment. I want to do something. I'm going to try to get some of my students involved. I don't know if they'll do it with me, but if not, I'll be out there by myself. I happened to go through a very large parking lot the other day in the north end of my town, and it's almost a half abandoned parking lot, and it is loaded with trash. And I want to spend a day out there just picking up trash. Not so much like, for my community. It's more for the animals, the birds. The birds are picking up trash. They're finding birds that are dead. When they have a suspicion as to how they could have died, the scientists or whoever bring them to the Department of Environmental Protection. They do an autopsy. They're finding out that they're loaded with plastic and all kinds of trash, because I guess birds don't really have a sense of taste, and so they just eat whatever they feel that looks like could possibly be food and it could sustain them, and then they end up dying a horrible death. And I just saw all that trash out there, and it's like, a couple of hours of a few people just actually giving a damn could make all the difference to a lot of animals.
Yep.
And so I'm going to be out there in the next month or so with hopefully some friends picking up some trash. So I'll let you guys know.
I'll be there.
Will you?
I'll pick up garbage with you.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love you. So anyway, do something that helps your world, helps your environment, helps your community, helps your people, your friends, something that makes your world a more beautiful place for this summer solstice. That is June 20th. And I hope to see you soon. I hope you enjoyed the show. And I would like to say again, a thank you to November Sound, my wonderful guest, Mr. Philip Heselton, and the entire crew of the Magical Alternative, the crew at CVC, Bolton Public Access, Roku, and Fire TV. And if you want to create and put on your own television show, you can contact your local public access television station to do so yourself. And remember, to dream alone, it's only a dream. To dream together becomes reality. So said the great John Lennon. So thank you very much, and have a beautiful, magical night. Thank you.
Thank you.